for us. Of course, a lot of people are spending some time at home. Tyler, are you working from home this week?
I am.
Yeah. I haven't got quite that point, but I'm sure it's coming soon. So there's a lot of downtime, and of course, March Madness was canceled this year, so we had to find something to fill our bracket needs. And so Tyler and I talked. We decided to do an ultimate Disney movie bracket because, of course, we're dads. We have wives who are moms, and we have kids who are Disney fans. And Tyler, you just got back from Disney, right?
Yeah, I had the ultimate experience, and it definitely will be brought out here in my logic of where we seeded a lot of these cartoon movies.
All right, so what we're looking for is your guys' help who are watching this show. We have picked out 64 Disney movies. So in all, there were just under 100 total Disney movies that have been made since 1930, but I picked out those that have no relevance whatsoever. We decided to pick those apart from the bracket. Of course, there might be snubs that you guys say you guys should put these guys in, maybe not. But then we went ahead and seeded them 1 through 64 on what the seeds should be and picking out the ultimate Disney movie. So what we'll do is we'll go through the selection show of what our seeds were, just like you would watch on a March Madness show. Again, feel free to let us know if we got it wrong, we got it right, or whatever the case is. And maybe you have a question on why we decided to pick that as a high seed. But then what we'll do is you guys will vote on who should win in the movie breakdown once we get through with this bracket. So again, leave your comments now. We can actually put them up on the screen and debate everything.
And just for those keeping score at home, Jones is Charles Barkley, and I'm Kenny the Jet Smith.
We don't have a Joe Leonardi or anything.
No Joey brackets on our show.
There's no science to it. It's raw emotion is what it is.
Just a couple Disney dads.
One thing about Disney movies is, of course, everybody has their nostalgia, I think, is going to throw it into it. And that's what I found myself as I was ranking the movies that nostalgia definitely played a part because the movies in my childhood definitely ranked higher up on my list than anything else.
And that's okay. That's how it should be, because if a movie hits you in the heartstrings, then obviously that movie was good to you. So think of it in that sense as you guys get to argue with us on our brackets.
All right. Of course, I'm wearing my shirt. Lion King was my overall #1 seed, but it didn't pan out that way. What you're looking at on your screen, if you can see it, if you're watching on a phone, it might be pretty tiny, so we're going to try to describe what's on the screen. If you're watching via laptop, you can probably see it a little bit better. So #1 overall seed, we're going to start in what we call the Arendelle region, correct? The Arendelle region, because Frozen is our #1 overall seed. A lot went into thinking about these, especially the 1, 2, and 3, 4 seeds that we had. Frozen, we had to reach out for some help to our wives, but after some deep considerations, we decided that it belongs there. Why did you rank it that high, Tyler?
Oh yeah, Frozen easily for me was on the one line. As far as the overall #1 seed, yeah, I think you could make an argument that its impact was pretty profound here. And the fact that there was even a sequel blew people's minds. I think that's how good it really was, and they didn't want it ruined. But and once again, coming from Disney, it is all of the craze. But then again, it's the latest and most recent thing that's hot. So think about it that way too.
And Frozen, for that the time period, it was like the craze, like the songs that people were doing, the husbands and wives were doing on YouTube and all that sort of thing. I'm like, it was like a phenomenon in the entertainment world. So it reached well beyond, I think, just the normal Disney sphere.
And the 16 seed that Frozen will be taking on the first round is the movie Brother Bear. I have not seen this movie. I don't think.
You haven't seen this one?
I don't know. Maybe
it was kind of sappy. I'll just give it that. We really negotiated whether this should be in the round of 64. So this ended up being the lowest seed possible. I can get it. It goes up against Frozen, so I don't think it really stands a chance in our fan voting. But
never know. It could be the UMBC of our group.
Robin Hood is going to come in an 8 in this region. Again, the Arendelle bracket or what we're breaking down. Robin Hood versus Sleeping Beauty, and this is an interesting one because they're both older movies in the animation world. Which one do you think is going to win this battle in a hot 8-9 contest?
Yeah, I think this is a good 8-9 matchup, but I'm gonna go with Sleeping Beauty if I had to choose what the people will choose.
Really?
It's got a princess, it's got more history. It doesn't have those a lot of alternative storylines from other movies, like Robin Hood and different takes on it. I mean, sure there are some, but I mean, it's Sleeping Beauty. So I think that's where the people will go on this one. It's a good 8-9 matchup for sure. Robin Hood just got a great story.
Yeah, I think Robin Hood's a funnier movie. That's why I like it a little bit better. Maybe that's why I ranked it higher. Interesting 5-12 matchup here. Of course, there's always an upset with a 12 seed in March Madness, and in this case, I don't know if Tarzan stands a chance against Alice in Wonderland. We'll see, though.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland hits a lot of people in the feels. It's a very child relatable, good experience, diving into the imagination type of movie that still holds a lot of weight today with popularity. So it'll be tough for Tarzan.
I'm a personal Tarzan fan, though. I like that movie a lot. The soundtrack is catchy.
Oh, good, yeah, good
It's a
soundtrack.
good soundtrack. 413 here. Incredibles is really high on my list personally. And I like the Good Dinosaur,
You'll have
but
to move our bracket up a little bit. We're zoomed in and still on Alice in Wonderland and Tarzan,
nice.
so you just got to
There
scroll a
you
little
go.
bit
Good. There you go.
so the people can see that.
So Incredibles versus Good Dinosaur. Again, when Incredibles came out, it was like a cultural phenomenon too, because there's never been a cartoon superhero movie. That was kind of like the start of it, I think.
For yeah, Incredibles.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, and you and I disagree pretty big on this one, so our viewers can understand that. I thought Incredibles 2 was funnier. I thought
Mm.
it had maybe a better plot. It was more maybe a little deeper level.
Yeah.
But I think I also love The Good Dinosaur. I think that's a good movie.
It's a
I think
sleeper
it's
for
kind of
me.
it is. I think it's underrated. I think a lot of people like it. There's a maturity to it. Yeah, I like The Good Dinosaur. This is a good matchup.
All right, on to the Toy Story, the first Toy Story entry that we have. There are 4 Toy Story movies in the round of 64. We weighed that back and forth a little bit because I wasn't sure should one series dominate the round that much, but Toy Story is the first Pixar movie, so it carries a lot of cultural weight with it too. But Big Hero 6 was another one of my favorites that has been released in the past five or 6 years too.
Yeah, this one could be interesting. Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3. You think the end's coming? At the end of the movie at the dump, and it's a good movie. I like Toy Story 3. Big Heroes. I think a different audience. It's a more segmented group. And I think once again maybe a little older group. So it'll be interesting to see how this vote comes out. You got to think a lot of the Toy Stories will move on the first round at least.
Yeah, you would think. To people who are just joining in, if you just missed our intro for the past like 5 minutes, what we're doing is ranking Disney movies. You might see this bracket over here wondering what in the world do those numbers mean. So those are seeds because we have 64 Disney movies. We're seeding them all, and then you guys will vote to determine which one is the best Disney movie ever. After we release this bracket to everybody, you guys can vote. And if you fill out a bracket and put it up on Facebook, you could potentially win a Dad's Rankings t-shirt to get some swag out of it too. So let us know in the comment sections if you disagree with our seeding of how we're going through it right now. All right, on to the Arendelle region. Snow White versus the Hunchback of Notre Dame, a 3-14 matchup.
Yeah, Snow White's a classic. It's a really strong 3 seed if you ask me. So be a tough matchup for the old Hunchback.
I didn't enjoy either one of these movies, so this is one of the most boring matchups I think in the entire tournament that we have. This is gonna be a low-scoring affair. If I had to vote in basketball, this would be like a 40-50 game.
The dwarves, man, they need Hunchback's gonna need touchdown Jesus to win this one.
On to Mulan and Hercules. Of course, Mulan's getting a live-action remake, but it's been postponed because of the coronavirus. I really enjoyed Hercules. To me, as a 10 seed, this is low rated for me.
I think we might be looking at one of our upsets here, Jones. I
Could
think you
be.
could see a 10 beat a 7 here. I think Mulan didn't hit with a lot of audiences, so I think the remake really could have helped it and kind of invigorate people that maybe didn't like the first one as much. But with the postponement, Hercules could get a chance here.
Yep. Moving on, Little Mermaid was pretty high on the Tomlinson scale, but not on the Jones scale whenever we were doing our rankings. But Ralph Breaks the Internet was fairly low on everybody. So this is a 2-15 matchup. The Little Mermaid's 2 seed, Ralph Breaks the Internet is a 15 seed. I think Ralph Breaks the Internet is perfectly placed at that 15 spot.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what the people think. If you're tuned in right now and you really liked Ralph Breaks the Internet, tell us why it should be higher. But man, I think
You're wrong.
well, I fell asleep, man. I fell asleep in the movie. It was that bad. I don't know. It was more of an advertisement than a movie
Yeah.
plot. Little Mermaid is classic. One of my favorites of all time. It's a good seed. It's going to go a long way in the tournament.
So potentially you could have a 1 seed in this bracket, Frozen, versus the 2 seed Little Mermaid in this. Man, that's a tough one too, because Little Mermaid is such a nostalgic classic from the early '90s. Had one of the first, I think, Disney movies to have a really catchy soundtrack that made pop culture. But then Frozen
Yeah,
just obliterated that whenever it came out too. So that's gonna be interesting if they face each other in the Final Four
agree.
or Elite
Agree.
Eight. All right, moving on to the next bracket. This is the Pride Lands bracket, and Lion King versus Atlantis here. Of course, Lion King was my #1 overall seed, my favorite Disney movie of all time, and Atlantis just squeaked it in too. So I don't think there's any competition in this one, but we'll see what the people say.
Yeah, I don't think I saw Atlantis, so yeah, easy choice for me.
Next up is Monsters University, which you had pretty high, versus Finding Dory. So this is an 8-9 matchup.
Those are two good movies for 8-9, and I feel bad that one of those two movies has to go up against The Lion King in the second round because I feel like either one of those could have been maybe a little bit of a sleeper movie going into the later rounds. But yeah, they're both gonna really struggle against The Lion King. I feel like I loved Monsters U. I think a little bit more than you did. Seemed like a lot of dads at Disney loved Monsters U. I think I told you there were a lot of
Yep.
Oompa Kappa hats at Disney, so they had the OK on their hats. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out.
Yeah, I like Monsters Inc. Monsters University. I didn't like it too much. Finding Dory in the same way. The sequels are always hard to do in Disney's version. I think Toy Story is one of those series that actually made an impact, but for the rest of them, I disagree with sequels. Next up is Inside Out versus Ratatouille. Inside Out had a very weary road to the tournament. Uh, in all of our family voting, Inside Out was low on the guy scale and high on the women's scale. What leads to that?
I think it's more of a female geared movie, to be completely honest with you. But I enjoyed it. I had it. It's a 5 seed for us. I had it as a 4 seed, I think. So it's kind of right in the area that I thought it should be. It's a good movie. I think the thought that was put into it was extravagant, and
Yeah,
that's kind of why I had it so high. And I thought it hit. I thought it did well. I think a lot of people know the movie if you make references. I've seen a lot of just memes lately of March Sadness, and they had sadness from the movie. So I think it's a good. I think Ratatouille is an underrated movie too. I think this
yeah.
region is a stacked region, Jones.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to tackle on Lion King, but an interesting 5-12 matchup because Ratatouille could upset Inside Out. Depends on how many dudes we have vote. Speaking of,
It is
go,
more of like a guys versus girls kind of movie there.
yeah. Speaking of dudes, we did have our first comment come in from Shane who says, "Can we talk about heavy metal bands sometime?" Pantera is in particular. Heavy metal rankings, that would be an interesting bracket too.
Yeah, for me, I'd have like my top four.
Yeah, I wouldn't have very many either. We got the hip hop and I might be able to talk. Heavy
If
metal,
that,
not so
if
much.
that's the Shane I know, he's got 2 kids. He's seen all these movies. Don't let him fool you.
All right, on to a 4-13 matchup, and that is misspelled. It's not Cards 3. It's not a Cardinals movie. It's Cars 3. But Dumbo there at the 4. One of those classic movies, again, that has the nostalgia for, I think, an older generation. Me, when I saw it as a kid, I didn't quite understand Dumbo. And the live action remake, from what I understand, is just like depression waiting in a 1.5 hour film. But Cars 3 wasn't that good either, to be honest.
Better than 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cars 3 wasn't it was better than Cars 2. For me, Dumbo. If you remember, maybe you don't remember, but Disney had like they were actually like live character Dumbo show that was on. That was like a weekly show or whatever on Disney, and so it held a little bit more weight. I think if my kid watches Dumbo now, they're kind of scared because
Yeah.
it's a little scary. But the thought behind Dumbo is that you don't need material things to achieve your goals is like really deep resonating thing. So I think Dumbo has a lot of weight with it here.
A non-serious movie was Toy Story 4, but then a more, I don't know, it's kind of in between. Jungle Book. Jungle Book is one higher up on my list, and to me, at a 6 seed is pretty underrated. But I get people's love for Toy Story, so this could be an interesting matchup too.
I agree. I really appreciate Jungle Book for its history. Toy Story 4, it hit you with everything. It was a roller coaster of emotions to wrap up what it was obviously a great movie series because we have all of them in here. But yeah, this one, I don't even know what I'm voting on this one yet.
Yeah, I think they're both like more adultish cartoons too, because Toy Story 4 had a lot of, you got to be older
Adult,
to
yeah,
understand stuff, and Jungle Book was the same way, even though it was made
yeah,
in the late '60s.
I agree.
Um,
Good call.
this is going to be a a thrashing, I believe, as a 3 seed Moana versus the Nightmare Before Christmas. I just don't see any way that Moana gets beat.
Yeah, I think maybe if the heavy metal fans like Shane all rally together and get Nightmare Before Christmas going, they could win. That's about their only chance.
And Moana, to me, I was going to bring this up because I thought about this tonight, giving my girls a bath. We are talking about surprises in Disney movies. Moana had one of the biggest surprises I think ever in a Disney movie. The twist at the end, where the villain was actually, a god, a good god.
Good guy.
So that was interesting.
That
But,
was a good. That was because for a little bit you kind of thought the movie was losing it a little bit,
right.
and then they wrapped it up really well. It was a good movie.
All right. Next up, we got Coco versus Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Coco was good. I almost don't think it's been watched enough to really appreciate how good the movie was. Once again, good twist there too.
Yeah.
Lilo and Stitch is just a weird movie, man.
To me,
If you like it,
I really like it too. And at a 10 seed, I think this is underseeded, but it'll be interesting what people vote with. Do they vote with their heart and Coco, or do they vote with the funny movie, the funny crazy movie in Lilo and Stitch? Last up in this bracket, again, this is the Pride Lands because the Lion King is the number 1 seed in this bracket. You got Finding Nemo at a 2 versus the Sword and the what is the Sword and the
Sword and Stone.
Stone, Sword and Stone. I've never seen that one, so I can't say I have very good
You don't have the
familiarity
guy
with the
pulling a
15 seed.
sword out of the
I know the
stone.
story, but I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. But Finding Nemo, this is going to be a Lion King versus Finding Nemo. I think in the Elite Eight, so this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, so here's my take on Finding Nemo. Dory is the worst Disney character of all time. She is to me the Jar Jar Binks of Disney cartoon.
Ooh, boy.
She is to me the Tom Sawyer of Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Those English teachers out there, you're welcome for that reference because we all know Mark Twain was battling some alcoholism and drugged the book out 10 chapters longer than it should be. That's how annoying Dory is to me and almost ruined the movie for me. So that's my opinion on Finding
Holy cow, that's a hot take coming from Kenny over there. Man, he hates Dory.
Nemo. I totally hate.
All right. So again, that's the Pride Lands region of the bracket. If you just joined, what we're doing is going through the top 64 Disney movies of all time and ranking them in a seed bracket because March Madness isn't happening this year. Already noted, already 1 seed. So you got Frozen there in the Arendelle region of the bracket, and then the Lion King in the Pride Lands region. So we're walking through seeds 1 through 16 in each one of the brackets. Let us know if we got it right. Let us know if we got it wrong. And let us know if you think any movie got snubbed. All right, so we're going to go to Andy's room region, and we got Toy Story at the 1 and Emperor's New Groove at the 16.
Hey, Emperor's New Groove has a good cast. The movie wasn't great, but there's some. I think like David Spade is in that movie.
Yeah.
There's I remember it having a good cast, but it just doesn't go anywhere. Toy Story, like it started it all. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think you can beat Toy Story. Probably all the first games out of this round of the 32. I don't know if it's going to lose Toy Story 1, 2, or 3 or 4. Either one. Let's move on to Wreck-It Ralph, which we talked about the sequel, Ralph Breaks the Internet. But Wreck-It Ralph versus Fantasia, an 8 versus 9. That's like a most recent classic versus a classic. And Fantasia, I was required to watch that in school. I don't know if you were, Tyler. We had to watch it in music class because of the soundtrack of the movie. It didn't have a lot of words in it, but
so it was a score. It was a
yeah,
score.
it was a score, yeah, not a soundtrack. But it was interesting to me even as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could go back and rewatch it today and be interesting, but
I mean, if you went by one of the dispensaries before, you'd really enjoy it.
yeah, get some high color. Yeah, space out
Yeah,
for a
I,
little bit.
I I really I really liked Wreck It Ralph. I was disappointed in the second one. And for me, I watched Wreck It Ralph later in life. Like I missed it when I don't know, maybe a lot of people did. I missed the whole Wreck It Ralph thing, and so I started watching it as it was released to television before the new Breaks the Internet movie came out. So I really
Mhm.
kind of fell in love with those characters and thought that was a good movie. But I think Fantasia is one of the classics of all classics for cartoons, and musically appealing to the eye as well. So it'd be a good matchup.
I think this will be one of the differentiator age in our Facebook page, depending on who votes, versus new school Wreck-It Ralph versus old school and Fantasia. Next up is a 512. So this is Cars, the original Cars versus Meet the Robinsons. Man, Cars was one of my favorites when it came out. So I don't know. I don't know how they lose this one, but Meet the Robinsons was an interesting movie. I just don't think it can take Cars.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure I've seen Meet the Robinsons. I'm pretty sure I don't remember anything about it. So once again, Cars had a good cast, spent a lot of money on it. Should move on.
Next up, a 413, Peter Pan versus Winnie the Pooh. Peter Pan was high up on your list, right? I think it was higher on your list than it was mine.
Yeah, and I think once again, being at Disney recently, and having it has its own ride. Tinkerbell's very prevalent throughout the Disney product. I really think Peter Pan means a lot to a lot of people. Winnie the Pooh, I think it does too, but
Mhm.
the one movie that we're putting up here probably doesn't suffice all the episodes of cartoons that really is more important. So movie wise, Winnie the Pooh probably doesn't stack up to the Peter Pan movie.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody that I know that would say Winnie the Pooh is one of their favorite movies of all time. It just doesn't make the cut.
No, but
Yeah,
maybe
it's just
shows or
there.
a group of characters.
Yeah. I mean, Winnie the Tigger probably is one of the most beloved Disney characters of all time, but
Yeah,
still,
they're good
the movie
characters.
itself. Next up is a 6 versus 11, Pinocchio versus Wally. This is going to be interesting because I would put Wally over Pinocchio any day of the week. Now I understand Pinocchio is a classic made in the 30s, but still, Wally, that was one of my favorite Pixar movies of all time.
So yeah, I'm gonna give you another hot take. Wally was on like the poster that they give out for like 100 greatest movies of all time.
Yeah.
Like Wally was on there,
Hmm.
and I about pooped my pants because it's not that good.
You don't like
And
Wally?
no, it's fine. It's fine. But now, to me, it's tainted forever because it is not one of the 100 greatest movies of all time. It's just a good
No,
movie.
yeah, no,
Like
yeah, I
all the
wouldn't.
other good movies in the world that aren't on the 100 best list. Like, it's just not. Pinocchio, to me, the movie itself maybe is not as cinematically great as Wally, but the story of Pinocchio is one of the most resounding stories of all time, and
I
everyone
understand.
knows it. I'm appalled it's at a 6 seed. Appalled.
I'm appalled that Wally's at 11 seed, to be honest. So this is two that we consider underseeded. Next up is Monsters Inc., which we talked about the sequel again before. Monsters University being kind of a lower seed, but Monsters Inc. gets a 3 seed, and Chicken Little at a 14. I love Chicken Little. I had a hard time with this one with it being so low.
It's not bad. Chicken Little is fine. The sky's falling, whatever. I mean, but Monsters Inc. It got a bad draw there for you, Jones. It got a bad draw. People love Monsters Inc. They love
Yeah,
Sully. They love Mike Wazowski.
the
Hell,
characters
they
are
love
good.
Roz.
The characters are good again. I don't know if I consider Monsters Inc. like a really quality movie though, but the people will vote. The people will make their voice be heard.
Jones, it's
Uh,
about happiness instead of fear. It's a great message.
Next up is Tangled versus Lady of the Tramp, 710 there. Tangled was one of those movies, again, for like parents, really enjoyed that movie. And so I think it's going to be high up on like the millennial parent list. Lady and the Tramp, we watched that about a month ago. That's a crap movie. I'm sorry. The Disney didn't make that well. It was just crap.
Maybe I shouldn't watch it again because I have like good feelings from watching Lady and the Tramp
Ugh.
growing up. So
Yeah,
maybe I
don't do
didn't
that
understand
because
it.
you will be bored to death. My 6-year-old couldn't stay awake watching this movie. So
All right,
and she loves
Tangled.
dogs. So Lady
I
and the
don't.
Tramp. Mm.
I don't know if I saw Tangled. That's the
What?
Rapunzel movie, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen the cartoons, but I didn't even know there was a movie. Maybe I no, I don't think I knew.
Man, I haven't seen the 7 seed, huh? 2 seed in this bracket. Again, this is Andy's room bracket because Toy Story is the 1 seed in here. So we got Cinderella versus the Aristocats. It's been a long time since I've seen the Aristocats. I got the feeling that it was a very boring movie. But actually, my girls just watched Cinderella tonight. That's a pretty boring movie too. All these older movies, they move so slow compared to today's animation. So it's gonna be interesting what people vote with, whether they vote for their own personal favorites or if they really believe that movie was one of the best ones of all time.
once again, I have to go with, like, they're gonna think that Cinderella is one of the best stories of all time. It's been
True.
mimicked forever. I watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine this past week, and uh, Hitchcock's woman he made out with lost a tooth, and so he was trying to match the tooth with
Yeah,
every
yeah,
woman
yeah. You put it in the
in
mouth.
Brooklyn. You know that it's the most mimic thing ever. Like Cinderella is one of the greatest stories of all time. Whether the movie held weight to today's movies shouldn't matter, people. It's a great movie. It's represented all over Disney World still, so you know it still carries a lot of weight.
So looking through this bracket again, this is the Andes because Toy Story, Andy's room because Toy Story is number one. So you got Toy Story at one, you got Cinderella at two, Monsters Inc. at three, and Peter Pan at four. So some really good old time classics in this bracket. Cars is a sleeper, I think, at five. This is gonna be probably the most upsetist bracket that we have. I think some lower
Pride,
seeds
you know,
have the
Pride
opportunity to
Lands
move on.
the Pride Lands bracket had a lot of newer movies. This one had a
Mhm.
lot of older movies. So we'll see how this last bracket holds up.
All right, if you're just tuning in again, we're going through 64, ranking all of them on a 1 to 16 seed, putting them in regions. We're going through Agrabah region right now. This is the last one set up on Aladdin. If you disagree with our seedings, let us know in the comment section. We can post them up for live and discuss them because these are not set in stone. These are just Tyler and I's opinions right now. We're going through why we think about them, but then you guys can vote on the winners, but also let us know if you think the seeding is wrong. Right now, we got Aladdin at 1 and a Goofy Movie at 16 in the Agrabah region.
Yeah, I see. For me, I like Mickey Christmas better than a Goofy Movie. That's kind of my take on things.
Woo!
Mickey Christmas is pretty good, quality
Mickey
flick.
Christmas is
So
good, but it's got like so many different movies in the same one. Can you
yeah,
consider that like like one film? Because it was
it's
like
hard
many
to.
films.
No, probably right. But Goofy Movie's kind of in that same time frame, so it's a very
Yeah.
similar approach, and it's not bad. It's not a bad movie. It's probably tough 16 seed for that one, but Aladdin, you know, Aladdin's got it's my favorite of all time. I'm not saying it's the best of all time. It's my favorite.
Next up in this bracket, you got Incredibles 2, the sequel at an 8 seed, and versus Brave at a 9 seed. Brave, another non-conventional princess movie. So that was the one for the Irish in you, and it's St.
Merida.
Patrick's Day. So I don't know. And which one do you think in this one, 8 versus 9?
I liked Incredibles too. I think it's fresher in the mind. I think people do like Brave, but it's like you said, it's kind of unconventional. Brave was kind of funny. I thought there was some really good
Yeah.
parts in Brave. Um, yeah, I think Incredibles 2 wins this just for the recency bias.
Yeah. 5-12. So this one's up for an upset. It could be Up at a 5 versus A Bug's Life at 12. Again, one of those things I didn't hear anybody talk about Bug's Life when it came out, but I did about Up. So I think it carries weight with having it in the public conscience a little bit more.
Yeah, and I mean, A Bug's Life is good, but I think it gained more traction once it got to like video and it's on TV more. And I think there you heard a little bit more. Everybody's seen it now,
Yeah.
but Up was more popular. It's probably in the right spot. For me, I thought Up was the best hour, first hour of movie like in a long time. The
Very
last
emotional.
the last hour is absolute garbage. It gets away from the writers completely. But for an hour, really, really good stuff. So that's kind of why I had it at a 5. It could have been higher if we could have rounded out a good movie.
That's true. Coming in at number 4, we have a lot of older movies at 4. Bambi is one of those, and then The Princess and the Frog at would be this a 13 seed, 4 versus 13. Bambi, another one that deals with very serious topics, but in a deer format, kind of odd. But Twitter-pated is still a word that I use in my nomenclature. Do you use Twitter-pated a lot?
No,
No?
is,
Okay.
is that one of Thumper's words?
Yeah, Thumper. He says that she's Twitter-pated.
You know, it's interesting. Frozen kind of deals with the same issue, and Lion King kind of deals with the same. Bambi's the one that started off parents dying,
Right.
and now that's kind of the norm for like all of these
That's
movies.
true. Oh, it was the basis for all movies having the sad story plot.
Yeah, so give them credit. Like they're the OG. You know,
It's
they're
true.
the OG that got everything going. Everybody knows Bambi. So, you know, it's I think it's an important movie. It's set Disney on the path to money.
Comment from a watcher here. Sam says, "Dad's rank things. Are you two practicing social distancing?" Smiley face. Yes, we were practicing social distancing. Oh, he's got his beer. That's nice. Next up on the seating, again, let us know if you disagree with our seatings here as we're kind of getting through. Rolling, we got almost 30 minutes in, and we haven't got through the 64 seeds yet. But if you
Almost.
disagree with some of them, let us know. Again, you guys will decide. You'll get to vote on who you think gets to move on. So we got a 6 versus 11 coming up. 101 Dalmatians versus Zootopia. I was high up on Zootopia. I think you were fairly low on it. 101 Dalmatians. I've rewatched that one within the past couple of months. That one again is slow moving. I really like Zootopia. I think it's funny. I like Jason Bateman's character. So, what's your thoughts on this one?
Well, 101 Dalmatians got one of the most popular villains of all time. So
True.
I know that Zootopia has like a lion or a tiger or something, and you put that up against Cruella de Vil, like that's a legendary character. My kid knows the name. She's never seen the movie, I don't think,
Yeah.
101 Dalmatians, but she knows Cruella de Vil. Like everybody knows the villain. I think that she's the star.
Cruella de Vil, yeah, I would say besides the puppies, she would be the star.
So think about it. What other Disney movie? Maleficent.
Right.
The, there's not a lot of other movies that have the villain as the star for Disney. So this is big. This was groundbreaking.
And we've talked about this before too. I think she was on one of my lists for like the worst or the best villains of all time because she looked like a methed out, cracked out lady.
Oh,
Because
she's great.
Skin and
She's
bone.
great.
Next up in this bracket, again, this is the where are we at? Aladdin Agrabah bracket. We decided to break them down according to the number 1 seeds. 3 seed Pocahontas versus the 14 seed Bolt. Pocahontas, an instant classic whenever it came out in the early 90s. The early 90s had a great run. The Little Mermaid, Pocahontas, The Lion King, great run of movies. And Pocahontas is a 3 seed there versus Bolt, one of the more recent ones. But Bolt was an entertaining movie. I just don't think it can tackle Pocahontas.
I think it can. I think you're going to be surprised. I think Bolt's going to compete here. I think it's a simple movie. It's quick. It's good. I think Pocahontas came at a time where, and I'm gonna make some people mad. Everybody wanted it to be just as good as the other movies, your Aladdin, Little Mermaid, and your Lion King. And
Mm-hmm.
guess what? It wasn't as good as those movies. So there's going to be some people that are like, Pocahontas isn't good. I'm going to go with Bolt just because I liked it. Pocahontas didn't live up to what was its competition and consistency that was going through the time. So this is an upset pick for me.
It could be.
Put it on the board.
What I do like about Pocahontas, too, which a lot of Disney movies do, they are set in like real world tones. So, of course, racism had a huge thing to do with Pocahontas. It came out during the 90s, of course, when everything was happening like in LA and stuff like that. So, I think it carries a lot of cultural weight at the same time. Your wife actually is tuned in and says that she recently rewatched 101 Dalmatians and it was rough. So, I agreed with your Jess on that to say, yes, it was rough in the rewatch.
You know, Cruella, she be smoking those Virginia Slims.
Let's see. Tyler says Pocahontas was a lie. So, of course, it was not based on historical accuracy.
I'm telling you, Jones.
Most Disney movies probably aren't close to historical accuracy. So
that wasn't me, Tyler. That wasn't me, Tyler, that put that message in. But this Tyler, he and I share a brain, and I'm telling you that Bolt might upset Pocahontas.
Let's see. Alan says his final four is going to be Lion King, Toy Story as a series, not individual. I don't think you can do that, Alan, but Toy Story might make it by itself. Aladdin versus Frozen. So those are actually the 1 seeds that we have there,
Oh,
Alan.
he's too
So
chalky. You're too chalky. You're too chalky. Pick some upsets.
Next up, we'll continue in the Agrabah bracket. We got Toy Story 2 at a 7 versus The Fox and the Hound at a 10. Both of these, I like Toy Story 2. I wouldn't put it over Toy Story. But The Fox and the Hound, again, if you rewatch it, it's slow too. I don't think Toy Story 2 was as fun as the other Toy Stories. It took a more serious tone, as did 3. So 1 and 4 are my favorites, but 2 and 3 are kind of back there.
Did you watch the? Then they do a live version of The Fox and the Hound on Disney Plus.
Oh, did I haven't seen that? No.
I haven't seen that either. Maybe if anybody watching has seen that, they could let us know if that made the series or just the thoughts of the cartoon a little bit better. Because sometimes it does help.
Could be.
But yeah, I don't know. This one for me, The Fox and the Hound's a good story. It's about you can be friends with anybody kind of story. So that storyline might be able to upset Toy Story 2, which I think we're saying Toy Story 2's the worst of the 4.
Yeah, I think that's what it ended up. Yeah,
I think we're going that way too. Okay.
We got Jason joining in. He says Bolt all the way. So we got a Bolt fan, and your wife is. She says she loves Bolt too. So hey, the Bolt might be
Bolt,
coming up.
I told you, Bolt's simple. Bolt's good. It's gonna knock off Pocahontas. That's my prediction.
All right, and the last game of this whole round of 32 that we have here going is Beauty and the Beast at a 2C versus the Rescuers at 15. So Beauty and the Beast, again, one in the early '90s. That was one of those classics. The soundtrack was good, story was
Yep.
good. This might rival Aladdin. I hate to say that, but Beauty and the Beast versus Aladdin in this bracket is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I think too. And the last movie that we mentioned was Inside Out, where you're going to have the majority of your female voters pushing that one. I really think, and right now, Dad's rank things has gotten, we're pretty 50-50 on who our followers are.
Yeah.
So the females are driving Dad's rank things just as much as the dads. So I think that's going to be a really big push for the females, is to get Beauty and the Beast into the final four. I see it possibly happening. That's one of my predictions as well.
All right, so people who are just joining in, we had a lot of people late joining, and Jeremy is one of those. He says, a bit late, any first round upsets. Did a 10 beat a 7 yet? So we haven't voted, actually. Jeremy, you guys are going to vote on which one should move on. So after this, after we set the bracket, we're going to start voting on Thursday. The games will be played just on Thursday, just like a normal March Madness. You guys will vote on Thursday and Friday for this first round of 32 games. Then we'll continue on Saturday and Sunday and so on. So you guys will pick the winners after we release this bracket. Well, what you guys do is actually fill out a bracket and repost it up on Facebook to think, how close can you get to guessing which one is going to win? And we'll give that person a free T-shirt. So yes, we will post the bracket, have voting, but also you guys help to get to fill out your brackets at home, just like a normal March Madness. Let us know again which one is underseeded or overseeded, because it's not quite set yet. So these seeds aren't quite set. Tyler and I have spent the last 35 minutes breaking down the brackets of where things should go. But again, if you guys disagree, let us know. Does a 10 beat a 7, though? That's the question out there right now. So which 10-7 matchup, Tyler, do you think has the most opportunity for an upset? Tangled versus Lady and the Tramp. We got Toy Story 2 versus The Fox and the Hound. Let's see here. What is
Hercules might be my pick in that group.
Coco, Lilo, and Stitch
Hercules versus
Mulan.
Mulan.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
I don't see Coco's not going down in the first round.
You don't think? Versus
No.
Lilo and Stitch?
The people love the Coco.
I think our female audience might like Lilo and Stitch a little bit more, but we'll see.
That could be. So those are kind. I think Tarzan or Hercules could be your upset there in the first round. That would be my pick for the 10-7. And then we've already had a 14-3, a lot of Bolt talk as an upset for those tuning in as well.
Biggest 5-12 possibility here: Alice in Wonderland versus Tarzan. You got Inside Out versus Ratatouille. Other side, we got Up versus A Bug's Life. And
there's some good 5-12s.
Cars versus Meet the Robinsons. So which one?
That probably won't be one, but the other three, I think there's some good opportunities for a 12 to beat a 5, just like the old normal brackets there for your March Madness.
All right. So if you had to rank the 2 seeds, on which one do you think could move on and beat the 1 seed? So in the Arendelle region, you got Frozen versus The Little Mermaid. And down here in the Pride Lands, you got The Lion King versus Finding Nemo. Beauty and the Beast at a 2 seed versus Aladdin at a 1 seed. And you got Toy Story versus Cinderella.
Yeah, as I said, I think Beauty and the Beast has the best chance to push on to the final four of those four, just because of our female audience. I think are really going to push that one through. I think Beauty and the Beast looks good there.
All right, let's get to some of you guys' comments. If you disagree or agree with us, let's see here. My Jesse says Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast have so many sing-along songs, so that might be a fan favorite. Your wife says this female loves Coco. Let's see. Sam says Lilo and Stitch is better. Coco's too creepy. I kind of agree with that, Sam.
Coco is totally creepy.
The other Tyler, he says hoping a Bug's Life upsets. I forgot who Bug's Life was going against here.
We did talk about I think they're against Up, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think they can beat Up. I really do. I think a Bug's Life's quality movies, a little sarcastic humor at times. It's going to get some votes there. Up's a tough competitor, Tyler, so we'll see how they fare in that one.
Ooh, Jeremy's got a hot take. He's going to go Hercules to the Final Four, 0 to hero.
I think that's a good bracket to do it in. I think the Arendelle region is one that's winnable. I think if you get down into the Pride Lands, it gets a lot more dicey on who your competition is. There's a lot of good movies in Lion King side of the bracket. So
True. I think we
once
gave
again,
Frozen too easy of a path. Frozen has a really, really easy path.
yeah,
Incredible. I don't know. Incredibles and Toy Story 3 are okay. I did Little Mermaid's good too. I don't know. I
yeah.
don't know.
See, it'll be okay. I think that region will be tough. But once again, we will want you to we'll post this and you can print it out, fill it out, or just do it digitally and post it back on our page, and we will tally up points to try to figure out who's leading the pack and who's doing the best. We're not going to do anything crazy, so you'll get as many points for ones that you get right. You don't have to. You don't get more points for picking a 16 seed. Just
Yeah.
whoever gets the most right each round and the best total amount of guesses. You're gonna win some Dad's Rank Things swag. So that's our challenge to you guys.
That's right. So we appreciate everybody tuning in, and keep leaving your comments. Even if you didn't make it towards the live broadcast, you can keep leaving your comments where you think the seating was wrong. We'll post the bracket almost immediately after we end the broadcast, so then you guys can see it. But then we'll have you start voting on Thursday. Again, just like March Madness, the games, first round games will be on Thursday and Friday. You guys will vote on it. Then on Saturday, we'll have the round of 32, I guess it would be, 32 teams left until we get to the Final Four and eventually lead up to it. So keep on discussing on our Facebook page. We'll keep doing the live broadcast as we break down the brackets. Everybody stay safe out there, and maybe you'll win some Dad Ranking swag.
Have some fun. Thanks, guys.
See it.